I want you to know that I believe in us, that no one believes in us more than me, and I believe that we can finish talking about 15 minutes of television in under 6 hours.
Where are we at right now? Like 4.5?
Yeah, I think we can do it. I believe in us. Hello, and welcome to the Shelf Aware podcast. I'm Ren.
And I'm Lizzy.
I don't know why I want to say I'm Lizzy every time. Hold on, let me do that again. Hello.
Do you want me to do it? Do you
It's
want
gonna
to
be
take
rough.
turns? Are you going to be okay?
You do it. You do it.
Hello. Welcome to the Shelf Aware podcast. I'm Lizzy. I almost just said I'm Ren. Okay, give me one more chance. I got it. Put me in, coach. Hold on.
Okay.
Hello. Welcome to the Shelf Aware podcast. I'm Lizzy. Dude, get a grip. We're 8 minutes in. This is shit that I have to edit. And if any of it's funny, it has to stay in. So now we're taking time away.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, practice your line. It's literally just I'm Ren. This is why we shouldn't have recorded in the evening. We're overtired.
Oh my. Okay. Hello. Welcome to the Shelf Aware podcast. I'm Ren.
And I'm Lizzy.
And we are two lit, obsessed sisters who loves to talk about our favorite books, our favorite TV shows, our favorite movies. And we are recording this at night this time. And so we're both a little punchy. So
just slightly insane.
Get ready for that. But as you all know by now, we are continuing our discussion of Heated Rivalry. And our goal for this evening is to make it through episode 1. And we feel good about that. One of us does. Lizzy's unsure. But, yeah, here we go. We can do it. I believe in us.
There's a world, there's a probability, there's a chance that we could do it.
If Ilya Rozanov can talk about his feelings, we can get through this podcast. You know?
Yeah.
So let's do it. Before we get started, we just want to remind everybody that we are, again, focused primarily on the show, less so on the books, just because, again, there have been some changes that the show has made. And then also we do want to try to be aware of spoiling things for people that have not read the books. That being said, we do occasionally bring in little tidbits from the books just to add a little bit of extra something. We also do tend to make parallels between the episode that we're currently talking about and future episodes. So if you are someone who has not caught up on the show and are sensitive to spoilers, that is also something to keep in mind. So for this episode, we are going to be wrapping up, God willing, episode 1. We have 15 minutes of the show to get through, so we feel like we can do it. But before we get into that, we have our first... Should we call it like the penalty box?
Dude, I'm so embarrassed.
Why? Don't be embarrassed. Oh my God.
I did not find 3 peer-reviewed sources to back up my... And the show should have been one of them. So, for anybody confused, we got...
For anyone confused,
okay,
Lizzy and I have a lot of strengths to bring to the table. Being able
research
to track...
is literally one of mine. I think I just was insane at that
point.
But
being able to track the passage of time
is
not one of them. And then...
So, we goofed up and we said that the draft that Ilya... we goofed up and said that I pulled out some numbers about his signing bonuses and like what that was.
We said they were
the
drafted
NHL.
in 2015, 2016.
2016.
It is in fact not right. What year is it?
It's 2009.
2010. But I think that the other important thing to notice about that is that as sisters, we immediately support both
We fed into it. I was like, "What year did you think?" And you go
both
2016, and I was like, "That's the year I had." We didn't
but
question it.
we immediately support both each other's rights and each other's wrongs.
So,
And I love that
I
for
did
us.
go back and look it up,
Yeah.
right? And somebody else can come and educate me on why this changed, because in 2009, the number 1 draft got a $90,000 signing bonus, which is
Which
closer to what you
what's
said.
well, what's funny is we talked about it, we were like 95 that I think you said 95,000 was like the last one in
The
that year,
very
and I was like,
bottom.
you were like, "That sounds a lot closer to what we were
That
supposed to think,"
makes
which
more sense.
we were in the right neighborhood. We just had the wrong street address.
Yeah. So in 2009, it was 90,000. Something I feel like happened to change the rules regarding signing bonuses, because it jumps up to like multiple millions
Yeah,
in
it's
like
wild.
2013, and it kind of skyrockets after that. So like 24, 25, there were 36 players over 25 million in signing bonuses. And I think they just passed something this year that was like your signing bonus can't exceed 60% of your contract worth. And I wonder if a rule like something similar to that went into effect back in 2013, or if the NHL just like got suddenly more popular, and I don't know. I have no
I
idea.
don't know.
Let me know in the comments, but yes, I'm so
Someone
sorry.
who
I should have fact checked the year.
Someone we
That's
have a
my bad.
timeline now that will reference. Someone who does know about hockey, which is not us, please let us know why the signing bonuses changed so astronomically. But I think the main takeaway here is that Shane and Ilya drafted 2009, and the Ilya's signing bonus, which he gave to his shithead brother, was around $90,000. We think
Yeah.
that's the takeaway.
If you would have told me 2009, I would have been like, "Bullshit. That's not right."
That's not you know.
It is
I
in
was like,
fact correct,
I was
though.
like, what? It was just like, when did I graduate? Anyway, we don't need to go into that. Um, all right, but yeah, there's our little correction for last time. Thank you to those of you who brought this to our attention. We did spend some time going down a signing bonus rabbit hole, which is I it's an astronomical amount of money. Maybe I should play hockey. No, no, I don't think so. I don't think so,
Be
actually.
I can't go in. I can't. I, I can't. I have a lot of feelings about that, but I can't.
It's we don't need to go there. Anyway, coming back to this episode of the show, which is we are still in episode 1 once again. We are picking up after Shane and Ilya's second hookup. Most specifically, we are picking up after Shane and Ilya become Jane and Lily. They
Oh,
have the text
cuties.
numbers now. It's a whole new world open to them now in terms of extracurricular activities. Sexting is gonna be possible now. What a time. But, after that, we know that, like, 2 weeks are gonna pass because Ilya says, "Well, see you again
We
in
play
2
in
weeks."
Montreal in two
It's
weeks.
in Montreal in 2 weeks. So when 2 weeks pass and then we see Ilya in the airport and his
Visibly,
I'm,
visibly
like, doing
heartbroken.
it under my desk right now. His foot is tapping, 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 tapping. This is something that I think is definitely we've talked a lot about in last episode, like, Connor and Hudson doing, like, some really good work with their micro expressions. This tendency that Connor gave Ilya to fidget when he's anxious, I really, really
Hmm.
love because he's very consistent with it. And so we see the foot tapping here when he's waiting to see if he's gonna get to fly out. And then he also does it um later. I remember someone pointing out to me that when he's asking Shane to stay in the tuna mill episode, you can see his foot tapping
Oh,
under the
he's like,
covers.
"Stay!" Like he's like throwing like a little temper tantrum. So cute.
Um, but he does that. He does a lot of like the self-soothing, like he like will rub like behind his ear. He's very fidgety, like in the bar in the All-Star game, like he's very
Oh, he
fidgety.
like taps on the counter. He's like, "Give me my fucking drink before I
Uh,
lose my shit.
he, like, almost knocks the beer bottle over when he's sitting next to Shane at the bar. I think this is one of those things where we talked about last episode where Hudson does the eye acting, where his eyes well, but the tears don't fall. He's not aware of how he's giving off more emotion than he thinks, and I think for Ilya, this is one of those things where I think Ilya is not always aware, that he's doing these
Mm-mm.
things, but, it's funny that his teammate does pick up
His
on it.
teammates clock his shit. They bu
Yeah.
His teammates clock his shit
Oh god,
multiple
yeah, yeah,
times.
and I love that his teammate, like, comments on it again later. He's like, "Man," he's like, "This girl in Montreal really
This
works
girl
you up."
riles you up.
Really works you up, and so yeah, Ilya is anxious. Ilya is immediately like, "Fuck you." Well, we know he's anxious
Mhm.
because he wants to go see Shane, and he's afraid he's not gonna get to, and then he doesn't. His flight gets canceled. I love that his friend is like, "Look, whoever she is, she's gonna get over it," and Ilya gets this look on his face like, "Yeah, but I'm not." Like, like, I'm not
He's
over
like,
it.
"I will
I'm
never recover from
will
this."
never get so, and then we do see Shane in his locker room getting that text from Ilya, and he also is very visibly bummed. He looks really bummed.
Yes, but God bless Hayden. Like,
But
I
Hayden!
love that friendship so
I do
much.
too. I do too. I really do too. I think he needs I mean, Shane needs that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He needs that
And
friendship, and Hayden is so sweet.
I feel like for most of the people in his life, Shane is not the one that is going to go up and offer to hang out, even though he might enjoy it and he might have fun doing
Yeah.
it. That's just not really his personality. And so somebody like that's very friendly, bubbly, like Hayden, just saying,
Mhm.
like, please come over. My wife would love
Would
to
love
cook
to
for
cook for
you.
you.
She's obsessed with you. Please come
Yeah.
hang out.
Yep. Yeah.
The My wife is obsessed with being the first wag to feed you. I'm assuming a lot of people know what wag means, but I ran into somebody the other day who didn't know what wag means, but that's just wives and girlfriends of athletes.
I
So
literally had to
he
ask somebody the other day because I was having a
oh,
separate conversation, and I was like, "What is that?" Because 'Cause I'd heard it on Heated Rivalry, and I was like, "What does that actually mean?" And yeah, it's
yeah.
wives
It's
and
wives and
girlfriends.
girlfriends, so
Yeah.
it's just like the significant others of athletes. And
Yeah.
so it's a big thing.
The trend that's happening right now where they're doing, like, a lot of significant others of professional athletes are, like they're, like, taking footage of their partner on the ice or on the field, and they're like, "He doesn't know it yet, but he's gonna have to help me put the duvet cover on when he gets home." And, like, I think I think that trend is really funny. But yeah, I mean, I think this is such a nice little introduction of Hayden and then
Oh,
Jackie and
love.
that little family element for Shane, and,
Yeah.
I do really love his relationship with Hayden, and I agree, I think it's, like, one of those things where I think in terms of going out and initiating contact, like, Ilya I mean, they're each other's exception in a lot of different ways, and Ilya kinda is that exception for Shane, but so I think it does take Hayden kind of being, like, a little bit like, "Hey, hey, would you like to go
Please.
over would you like to come over?" And he's so earnest and cute about like, he's so non-threatening, like, he's not super macho about it. He's like, "Hey, I would, like, sincerely love to have you over to dinner."
Well, he gives
Um,
Shannon out too. He's like, if you're too busy, like, don't worry about
yeah,
it." And
he totally
Shane goes,
does.
"I would love to see you. I would love to watch you eat
I would love you
my
the
weird
gross
food."
food. Hayden is really very protective of Shane
Yeah.
as the show goes on. I mean, he's very sweet with Shane, and I think they have such a wonderful little friendship, and I think that this is such a cute introduction for Hayden, and, we also get that little bit of Shane, like, saying, like, "Well, I'm on a macrobiotic diet." So some of the elements of Shane's relationship with food, Shane
Mhm.
being very kind of prescriptive about what he eats and drinks, and that we know
Mhm.
that's gonna be an ongoing thing for him, and, yeah, I love that we're getting this kind of moment too, where Shane is going to get comfort from another little family unit. Like, 'cause
Mhm.
that is a big comfort for Shane, is, like,
Mhm.
he's going to find, like, another little family unit that he can be part of because family is so comforting for him. And then on the other hand, we have Ilya, who family is not. super comforting for him because of the relationship he's had with his family. It does become that
Mhm.
later when he gets adopted
Yeah.
into
I was
Shane's
gonna
family,
say, it's, like, not currently it's not
but
currently
it will
comforting
be.
for him, but
Yeah,
he yearns for it to
he
be
yearns.
comforting for him.
But he does find comfort in Svetlana, and so Svetlana so
Mhm.
I think this is a really good tie-in or, like, introduction for we get Hayden, and then right after that, we get Ilya and Svetlana because we see Ilya going back to his house. He is glued to his phone, waiting for Shane to text him back, and then we do get to meet Svetlana, and what I find really funny is, like, he comes in and Svetlana's there waiting for him, which shows you that they know each other really well because she has let herself in.
Mhm.
She's in his jersey, and he's speaking to her in Russian. Like, you get an
Mhm.
understanding very quickly that she's an important person to him. She knows Russian. You get an he even
Mhm.
says, like, "I thought you were back in Russia." So you get this, like, really nice, setup for her very, very quickly. But the thing I
Mhm.
think that's really funny too is after, he kind of isn't giving her the attention that she wants, she says, "You don't deserve me. I should go." And to see the full like, this is obviously a conversation where she's teasing him, right? She's kinda
Mhm.
trying to get him to, like, pay attention, and he's in his phone. But to go from, like, this moment where she's like, "You don't deserve me," da, 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 to, like, later when they're in Russia, and he says, "I don't deserve you," and she's like, "You do, but you don't want me. You want, you want
Jane.
Shane." So, I think that, that is such a full circle moment
Yeah.
for them,
Yeah.
which is really fun. I you know
When I first watched that episode, my first watch through, we you don't know how significant Svetlana is gonna be. You
Mhm.
don't really know how close she and Ilya are, do you?
Yeah.
No.
No, I don't
And so
think
when
so,
I
and
first
then go ahead.
yeah, when I first watched it, I was like, "Who is she?" And not in a nice way, I was kinda pissed. I was like, "Who is she? Why is she in Ilya's house?" And then every subsequent time I've watched it, I'm like, "Oh my god, she's in his house.
I love
She's waiting
her.
for him."
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that that is a change from the books. Like, in the books, like, Svetlana is a friend for Ilya, but, like, they don't have the childhood friendship that they do in
Yeah.
the show, and
Yeah.
I also think that we are so used to seeing women often positioned as rivals
I
or as
know. Ugh.
competition, and so I think that it's one of those things where we do immediately be like, "Okay, like, she's gonna be, like, something that comes between him and
Mhm.
Shane," and she's not. She never is. She's a really big support and a very crucial support system for Ilya
Mhm.
that he desperately needs, and, similar to, like, what Rose becomes for Shane, even though, yes, Ilya does get jealous of Rose.
That's so funny.
It's like but Rose is
I'm
similarly, like,
gay, Ilya.
not gay enough to fuck Rose Landry. I don't mean, listen, that's traumatizing for him. But I think that I mean, Rose and Svetlana both are such good support systems, and you also have, like, Elena in Scott and Kip's episode, where you really see the female characters in Heated
Really
Rivalry.
supportive female
They're
characters.
very supportive, and I also think the way I love it too is that they're written in such a way that in each case, they tell the boys what they need, not
Mhm.
to give them permission because it's not their permission to give, but to let them give themselves permission. And
Mhm.
so I think this is yeah, I think this is a big thing for them, and I was really relieved to see Svetlana actually have a more expanded role in the show than she had in the book. I think because it does help Ilya be less isolated.
Yeah.
I think it helps him. He needs that. He needs somebody.
Yeah.
Needs somebody. So, but yeah. But then Shane does text Ilya back. He said, "What did he say? Like next time, I guess, or something like that."
Yeah.
But then Ilya doesn't text him back.
A couple people asked about this.
Yeah.
A couple
Yeah.
people asked were like, "Why didn't Ilya respond? Why didn't he talk to Shane at all in between then and the award shows?" And maybe this is just me misinterpreting it. I'm not under the assumption that we get to see every conversation that they have. and I'm not saying that they're, like, texting every day,
Yeah,
but I feel like like, years are going by in the
yeah,
show, and
yeah.
I had no expectation that we were getting to view every text they sent to each other. Did Ilya I feel like it's likely that Ilya didn't respond to Shane in that moment because he was with Svetlana,
Mhm.
and I think that that is, like, understandable. Do I think that they didn't talk at all? I don't know, like,
It
leading
took
up to the
4
award show?
months. It took
I
4
have no
months to,
idea, and
like
I don't think they said
yeah,
anything. Obviously, if they were to say anything really important to each other, I think we would have seen that,
yeah.
but I
I
think to say that, like, Ilya was going out of his way to ignore Shane, I don't think that's what was happening. I feel like Ilya just had, like, things going on, like, in his life.
yeah. I don't think that's what's happening. I think it's an interesting question, and I remember so at the beginning of episode 2, when there's that montage and they're texting back and forth a lot, I remember there's, like, at one point, because I think I had this thought too that, like, well, they're texting, and it very much looks like they're texting, and we're not
Mhm,
seeing everything that they're texting
mhm,
each other, but I think at one point towards the end, you see one of their phones, and I think the only texts that are on the phone are the ones that we see them send. So
mm.
I
Intentional?
don't know if that's intentional. I mean, I feel like
I
so
mean,
much of the
everything's
show is.
intentional with the show, yeah,
Um,
sure.
but so I don't know if it's meant to be that they're looking at their phones a lot, wanting to text each other, and they're just not doing it, or they are texting more and we're just not seeing it. So I think that there is, I could kind of see either way. I do
Yeah,
think that Ilya kind of has this tendency where reminders of his life in Russia, and I think Svetlana is one of those. I think especially kind of early on,
mhm.
tend to make him pull away from
Yeah,
Shane because it's like
yeah,
one of those things where he's like he gets reminded of Russia and he gets reminded of all the reasons why in his mind this is never going to work. This is
yeah,
never going to end well because he in his mind is like at some point I have to go back to Russia. I have a life there. I have a
mhm,
family that I'm supporting there. I am always going to have to go back. And that is always going to be a complicating factor here. If I get found out at some point, if I am outed, I would be in real danger going back to Russia. So I think it's one of those
mhm.
things where I think every time Russia does kind of come back into things for Ilya, and I think that's why we see after the Olympics where there is that very long period where
Are not
he doesn't
speaking.
text Shane back. So
Yeah.
I could see I could see it being like maybe they did exchange a few texts, or I could also see it where
Yeah,
Ilya
and
doesn't
I
text him
wasn't
back.
thinking it was, like, a whole conversation. I was just like,
Yeah.
they're having games, and,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I just was kinda picturing one of them being like, "Good luck tonight," or, "Did you see that shit
See,
that was on ESPN?" Or,
but
like, stuff like
I
that. I don't know.
but I think that for Ilya I don't think Ilya is
You don't
at
think
the
he would do
point
that?
yet where he would text back without it being for a purpose,
Like, a
because I
reason?
don't think they're at, like, the just checking in, and even in the beginning of episode
Yeah.
2, they're all whenever they're texting, it's like a, like, "This is where you can kinda come get what you want." What's a girl to do on a lonely night in Montreal? I mean, there's,
Yeah.
like, just checking in, like, that's something you
Yeah,
do when you're, like, down bad and you're
I
like,
know,
I
and
just
but
wanna
they
hear from
are.
you."
They
They
are.
are, but they're, like,
They're
not
just
ready to
not
admit that
willing
yet.
to yeah.
No.
And
No,
I
that's
feel like and
like
that's fair. I feel like I have a hard
yeah,
time differentiating them as people at the beginning of the show versus where they end up, because that
yeah.
just seems like something that they would obviously do, but they probably wouldn't be doing that at this point.
I think at this
But
point, they're not
yeah.
yeah.
I think regardless, I don't think Ilya is intentionally ignoring Shane there. I think I think he's just busy. Like, I think there's just something going on.
I don't think he's ignoring him. I think it's one of those things where he's like I think he gets kind of reminded of Russia because he
Mhm,
sees Svetlana. He's like, "Oh, shit." He's like, "That's right." And then because the next time we see him, he is, like, upset about having to go back home, and he's kind of avoiding Shane there, and,
mhm.
I do think it's, like, one of those things where he kind of like because they have this distance, I think for both of them, like they have this moment where they have to essentially hit pause. And so I think Ilya maybe kind of has a chance to also think and be like,
Mhm.
okay, this actually is super complicated. And this is
Yeah.
something that is not going to end well. And so what am I doing here? And so
Mhm.
I could kind of see him distancing himself a little bit after that they end up not being able to see each other, and I don't know if
Mhm.
they don't play against each other there in that 4-month span or, you know,
And they
maybe
might,
they
I mean,
don't.
they might not.
Yeah,
They might not.
yeah, but, then they do finally see each other 4 months later. That's when Shane wins
Rookie of the
Rookie of the
year,
Year.
baby.
Yeah, and how, I also think by how anxious Shane is to see him, I also kind of get the impression that maybe he hasn't heard from him in all of that time. Because they get there and he's obviously got his mind on Ilya when he's there.
Yeah.
Sweet baby Shane.
I I think Shane goes into that. I think he's in his element, like, when he wins that, like, he's so
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
especially when he's, like, coming down the steps, like, you can tell he's not super comfortable with all the attention, but he's very proud to have
Yeah.
won that award. He's excited to be there. He's talking to Scott Hunter. They're having a
Mhm.
good, and Scott's like, "Do you wanna take some shots?" And Shane's like, "Fuck yeah, I do." Like, he's so excited. He's like,
He
this is what I've been working for so
Yeah.
long."
Yep.
And his his little night gets ruined because he really wants Ilya to be there to celebrate with him. Like, he
Yeah.
doesn't wanna be there to, like, rub it in his face that Ilya didn't win.
No.
He's
He
like,
wants
"I
Ilya
want
to
my
be proud of
fucking
him.
boyfriend sitting next to me, taking shots with me because I won this bitch, and I know he's proud of me."
Well, I think he wants yeah, I mean, I think he wants Ilya there. I think he wants that acknowledgement, right? This is a big moment for Shane. I think especially because he was drafted
Number
second.
2.
We know that bothered him.
Yeah.
And so this is like a moment for him where he gets this recognition. And I think Shane is one of those people where he does feel like this is he's so focused on being perfect. And I think Shane is definitely one of those people
Mhm.
where I know you and I both have this tendency too, where like accomplishments aren't achievements, they're expectations, right?
He's like,
He's like
this is what I had to do.
yeah,
This
like
is what I need to do.
I did the thing, I did the right thing, I did what I'm supposed to be doing. Yes, I got Rookie of the Year. So I think it is like one of those things where I think he feels really good about it, but I think he does want Ilya there. And it's not I agree with you. I don't think it's to rub it in his face. I think he just wants some sort of acknowledgement because he does really value Ilya's opinion. And I mean, from the
Mhm.
beginning, Shane was the one who came up to him and was like, "I think you're an awesome player to watch." Like, I mean, Shane wants Ilya to look at him and think that too. And Ilya does, is the thing. Like, Ilya
Oh.
does think
Oh.
Shane is phenomenal.
Mhm.
But I know, but he's so funny because he's like standing there at the bar, and he's like one Rookie of the Year, and then Scott comes up. And what I think is interesting too is that like Scott goes, I thought it would just be ginger ale for you, Rook, or something like that. And which I thought it was kind of funny that Scott is one of the people that notices that Shane drinks
Drinks
ginger
ginger ale.
ale.
Yeah, he's like,
Um,
"That better be just ginger ale."
well, I think it's also kind of like another sign of Scott being pretty aware and being pretty perceptive. And I think like one of those things where later tie of ginger ale and Ilya, like kind of this is something that that, like, people know about Shane, but I think that was interesting that Scott noticed about the ginger ale, but then, um,
His
Shane,
response is so
I
funny.
I wouldn't indulge in front of you, Mr. Hunter.
But I almost, like, when Shane said that, it sounded like a joke. Like, it sounded like Shane was trying to make a joke, and I don't know if anybody else took it that way, but I was like, "Does he have a sense of humor that he's been hiding this whole
He
time?"
does. He is, as Rose says, he's secretly the funniest
He is
person she knows.
secretly
He's
funny.
secretly very funny, but it was so cute. It was so cute. I think it maybe he was trying to make a joke, but
I
because
think he was
he's
just a
so
little
nervous
sarcastic. I think he was a little sarcastic. I think he
well,
knew that Scott was, like, giving him a hard
giving
time.
him a hard time. I know.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like that whole, like, "you're old as dirt" thing that they do to poor Scott. But I think it's one of those things where it's like, I think he was trying to be funny, but because he is, like, kind of awkward, it just comes off kind of nervous.
It came off if you look at it, if you hear it 2 different ways, if you didn't, like, see him say it, you could be like, he sounded totally genuine there.
I know. I know. But I do like that Scott, when he does ask him about doing shots, he does it in a way that gives Shane an an out. Like it's the
Mhm.
because he goes, "What would
What
you
would you
say to doing
say?
some shots?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Would you be into that?" And I think it's like again, like asking
No
in a way that
pressure.
gives. Yeah, he's not pushy. Like you very much get the impression that if Shane's like, I'm not really into shots, like Scott would be like, that's totally cool. That's totally fine. So I think like again, setting Scott up as like a good guy. And then Scott does the okay, great. So where's your boy
With your boy
Rosenoff?
Rosenoff. Dude, Shane, he genuinely pisses himself.
Deer, the baby deer in the headlights is Shane Hollander in that moment. And he's just gonna let the
Um,
car hit him. My boy. My what? My what?
I have a very I can't. I have a very, like, visceral reaction, like, my body, I got goosebumps, like, I'm
My what?
panicked.
Shane just immediately panics. Scott then, God bless, immediately backtracks. Well, not
He's
your
like,
boy.
"No,
Not
not
I
your
mean, not your
boy, I mean,
boy. I mean, but he's like, it's
he's
always
your
Hollander and
bestie, but
Rosenoff, right? Shane, yeah. Oh, right, yeah. But then Shane's like, we're not like friends or, you know. Both Shane and Ilya are guilty of the I doth protest too much. Like they're both guilty of the like they make it too big of a deal. And that is honestly what
they
helps
wig
people
out
clock
so
them.
hard. They
Because it's like Shane is like, oh, we're not even friends, and it's like you could have just like he could have just been like, oh yeah, I
I
don't
don't
know where
know
he
where he's
is.
at.
But that completely normal response. But Ilya does the same thing with Svetlana when Svetlana will
Yeah,
ask
like,
him about
refuses
Shane
to
and he
say
like
Shane's
won't say
cute
that
or
Shane's
good.
hot. Yeah,
Be so
Ilya.
fucking for real, baby.
He's so fucking for real. Like they both do the thing where they protest too much, and that is like what gives them away. And I'm like, guys, please. Guys, please. Then after Scott asks him, and he's like, no worries. I'm sure someone else grabbed him. And Shane kind of does this, and he like dives into his drink. He like takes a big drink out of the straw.
He's like,
And
"I did
Scott
not
just
play
kind
that
of is
good."
like, Scott like looks at him like,
Are you okay?
again, Scott totally knows. You can't convince me that man doesn't know. I don't.
He either knows or he's got the comedic timing of a god. I don't know. Like, those are the only
Those
options.
are the only
Like,
options. It could be both. It could be both.
yeah.
But I think that he knows. I think that he absolutely knows. But then Shane does do the shots. He does a couple shots, gets some liquid courage, checks to see where mom and dad are, and then is like, well,
Off to see
gonna
my
go find me a
man.
Russian. I'm gonna go. Where is my boy Rosanov? Well, that's a great
Yeah.
question,
Fuck
Scott.
is he?
Where the fuck is he? God, I need to go. I gotta go find. He's
And
probably
then we
lurking in the
proceed
shadows somewhere.
into one of the most heartbreaking conversations in the entire show. Thanks.
Yeah, so he just skedaddles off. I love that he's like, okay, mom's there, dad's there.
I can disappear.
I can into the night. So he just disappears, skedaddles up to the roof. I want to know how long he looked for him. 'Cause he
Yeah, like, did somebody say to him, "Hey, I think Ilya's," like, was Shane going I have a hard time believing Shane's walking around saying, "Do you guys know where Ilya's at?"
no,
He can't because that
no,
is
he couldn't
obviously
ask
like,
anybody.
that is a level of unsubtlety that
That would
even
be
Shane
sus
could pick up.
behavior. Sus
So, like,
behavior.
did he go floor by floor? Or, like, I
Like,
don't know, like, he's a
I
little
think he's
drunk at this point. Like, is he thinking about it that hard?
I think he scanned the perimeter. I think he checked, and then I think he was like but the other thing is I think he knows Ilya likes to smoke. So he probably at one point was like, "Where would
Um,
you go smoke?" And then
the roof.
the roof. So he goes up to the roof, and God, that shot of Ilya, like, up on the like, so good. But another area where the show, I think, does such a good job of showing the progression they go through is like when Shane does go up on the roof, he goes and like Ilya's here, and then Shane does walk to a point where he does preserve that distance between them. He does that in Russia too. Like he walks up, but he keeps a distance. And I think then when you see that later at the All-Star game, when Shane walks in and then he just pops his butt right next to Ilya at the bar. Like, you do really see that really good progression
Mhm.
of them getting closer over time, and
Yeah.
Shane having the courage eventually to just walk right up to him versus, "I'm gonna keep gonna keep a safe distance."
Oh,
But then he walks up and he goes, "I'm not sure it's worth jumping over." Which, oh my god.
Shane Hollander. What the fuck? And
He doesn't know.
they love to have these miscommunications where Ilya is literally so tortured by
Yeah.
his past. Shane is oblivious because he's never experienced it, and Shane
Mm-mm.
says some fuck ass shit that Ilya's like, "What the fuck is this guy's problem? Like, what is going?" Because it happens 2 seconds later. Because Ilya's
I
like,
know.
"I have to go home." Key is, "I have to go home. Have to.
I go, but
I
yeah.
have to go home." And Shane goes, "I'm sure you're so happy." Shane genuinely means that. Shane's like, why wouldn't you be happy to
Must
go
be
home?
nice.
I'm
Must
so
be
happy to go
nice.
home to see my family and friends." And
Mhm.
Ilya gives him a look like, "I wish you would jump right now. I might jump after you, but I wish you would jump."
I think it's just one of those things where, and I mean, in fairness to Shane, we know so much more about what's going on with Ilya because, like, at this point,
Yes.
like, we
Yeah.
have seen Ilya have the terrible conversations with his dad. We've seen him have the terrible conversations with his brother. Like, we know that this is not a happy thing, and I think it's one of those things
Mm-mm.
too where I think Shane has some of that tunnel vision where he's like, okay, when Ilya beat me in the draft, I was not happy. And so I've beat him at Rookie of the Year. So that's why he's not happy. It's like, okay,
They're two ships
this,
crossing in the night, and they're not going to touch each
therefore
other.
this. And like it doesn't, I just don't think it even occurs to him
Mm-mm. I
that
agree.
Ilya would be upset about something else. And then, but as we know, Ilya is up there actually thinking about much heavier things. He's going back to Russia. He's upset. We do know that his dad will probably give him a hard time for losing the Rookie of the Year thing because his dad is very hard on him about literally everything. But more than anything, I think it's that Ilya knows he's going back to a place where he's not happy, where his
Mm-hmm.
family hates him. Like, and, he
Mm-hmm.
says later in his monologue, "They all hate me here. I hate it here." I mean, he's going back to a place where he feels very trapped, where he feels very unhappy. He has that like looming ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think it's one of those things where that is the thing that he's really upset about. And
Yeah.
he even does say to Shane, he notices Shane is drunk. And he says, like, he's like,
It's like,
good for
"Good for
you, good for
you."
you.
Ah,
And, he knows it's unusual that Shane is drunk because, at the All-Star game, he's like, go out, get drunk. And Shane's like, no, I mean, he knows
I
this is
didn't get
kind of like
drunk. Yeah.
an unusual thing. And he even says, like, big night for you. And, Shane goes, well, it could have gone to either of us. And Ilya goes, well, it went to you. Like, I think it's one of those things too, where I don't even think Ilya is that mad about it. I think he's kind of just in this place of,
No.
I really don't want you to pity me right now. I'm really like, this is kind of like the least of my concerns. Like, I don't really want to get in this whole thing about this award. Like, this is like kind
Yeah.
of the least of my problems right now. It's adding to my problems, but it's not the thing I'm really upset about right now. And I don't want to get in this whole like, it should
He's,
be
like, trying
you.
to
No, it should be
squash it.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah. He's
he's
like,
trying to
I just don't
squash
really
that
want to.
conversation.
That wall is so high up right now. Like, he
Mhm.
really doesn't want to show any sort of vulnerability. He doesn't want to show weakness. He doesn't want Shane pitying him about the award. Like, he does not really want to talk about it. But then of course Shane interprets that as
Him being a sore
Ilya
loser.
Ilya being a sore loser. And I think this is one of those things where again, Shane does just want Ilya supporting him. Shane wants his good game. Shane wants the good game at the end of the game. He wants them to meet and say good game. And that's what they've done. And Ilya does normally do that for him. Like again, when you think of him beating him at the All-Star game, Ilya does like the good
Mhm.
job. Like he wants that validation from Ilya, and that's really what he's wanting here. And Shane is picking up that Ilya is upset. He's just not identifying the right root of it.
The correct cause of
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think it's interesting where you also see Shane be the one to actually start introducing vulnerability in this conversation. Because Shane is the one who says, all you ever do is beat me, which is not true. It's it's not
No, I think
it's not
Shane's
true.
team won, like, the game leading up to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think well, I mean, it's like he beat him at the All-Star game. He beat him at, like, the last Canada Russia final. He's just won this award. There's a
Well,
reason why the rivalry is so big is because they do go back and forth a lot. Like,
in
it's not just Ilya dominating.
I think him not coming first in the draft, like, is permanently seared in his mind, and he's never gonna get over it.
Yeah,
And as if even if he lost the Prospect Cup,
yeah,
and, like, those are I mean, and that was not him playing for a professional team, that was him playing for his country, which I don't know if that
yeah,
holds more significance for him. But in reality, if you look at it, they trade punches, but I feel
mhm,
like in Shane's mind, he's looking at it through colored glasses in the sense that, like, he thinks Ilya is better for some reason, even though there's not any
yeah.
and I don't get it.
I
Like,
think he just I think he just puts Ilya up on such a pedestal
yeah.
already. Like, I think he just
Yeah.
looks at Ilya and is like, he's so I mean, it's like he's so cool. He's such an amazing hockey player. And then like and in one of the episodes later when Ilya wins the cup, um, in episode 2, like you hear Shane even say that he thinks Ilya is the better hockey player. And I think that this is a moment for Shane where you can see him feeling insecure. And he really does just want, I think, Ilya to acknowledge this
Mhm.
accomplishment. And Shane is so focused on being perfect. He wants Ilya to see him winning this award because I think in Shane's mind, this is how he measures his
Yeah.
self-worth often.
Worth.
And so, like, he wants Ilya to see him winning this award because he really likes Ilya and he wants Ilya to think he really wants Ilya to like him. And I think it's
Mhm.
like one of those things where, well, one, like Shane has had a couple drinks. He's feeling upset. He's lashing out. And so I think he's saying things that ultimately he knows like aren't quite right, but that's how he
Aren't right,
feels.
yeah.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
it's like in his mind he just feels like Ilya one-ups him. You know, Ilya's more experienced in in other areas too. Like, I think he just in his mind, he just feels like Ilya's one-upping him, and this is
Mhm.
one of those cases where he didn't, and Shane just wants this kind of, like, moment of validation.
Yeah.
And, Ilya is and I think the thing is, like, Ilya normally would give him that, but
Yes.
Ilya is so wrapped up in other things right now
Yeah.
and, so instead, Ilya lashes back out too and says, "Not everything is about you," which is interesting to say because eventually he does make everything about about Shane. But, he is dealing with
A
and
lot.
in part, like, the things he's dealing with is why he does end up making so much stuff about Shane. It's because
Mhm.
what he's dealing with is really tough. It's really,
Mhm.
really, really hard stuff. I mean, um he's obviously so anxious and upset about going home. I mean, it's that he's up
Mm.
alone, self-isolating, and
Mhm.
just really upset and lashing out at Shane, which is something that we really haven't seen him do. I don't think Ilya is really happy that he's doing that either. I don't think that's,
Well, I think you see him regret it pretty immediately.
immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ilya lashes out. Shane immediately is like, "Okay.
Well,
Okay."
but Shane does say to him, he's like, "Okay, so what is it then?" And
Yeah,
this
like,
is
"What's wrong?"
yeah, and this is a sign of I think this is a precursor of what we're gonna see later, where Shane is the one to be like, "Okay, then tell me, what are you upset about then?" Now, of course, Ilya is not at the point, where he feels like he's going to share any of that stuff with
Mm,
Shane, or I mean, at least initially, because he does give that initial shove back of like, "What the fuck do you want?"
yeah.
Um, they have the nothing. I just wanted to, see the view and get some air. The only view Shane wanted to see was Ilya.
Was
Let's all
Ilya.
let's all be
It's like,
honest.
I am looking at the fucking view, baby. It's
I'm looking
pretty.
at that. I'm looking at that view. They're both so upset, and I think it's so hard because I mean,
You know how I feel about a miscommunication trope. You know how I feel
you
about
know
it.
how I feel about the miscommunication trope.
We feel differently about it. We're not on the
Um,
same page.
I know, we're not on the same page.
It's
Um,
fine. It gets resolved fairly quickly.
kinda,
It
yeah.
doesn't.
It does.
It doesn't. It gets
Um,
like they forget about it.
at first it gets worse.
They forget about it. For those of you that are listening that are confused, I hate a miscommunication trope that could be solved by the two characters just fucking having a conversation.
Just like you talking.
I hate it. And I
I know you do.
understand in
I know
some
you do, baby.
stories, and this is one of them, where it's actually just not feasible for the characters to have a conversation, nor would they. But I've definitely experienced some stories where
Yeah.
it feels like the characters could easily have just talked about it, and they
I think
choose
it
not to.
I think it often depends too for me on, like, where it takes place in the story.
Yeah.
Like, for me, if the
Oh, yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, if the mi for me, like, if the miscommunication thing happens, like, at the very tail end, I'm like, "Y'all should be knowing about each other at this point." But if it's, like, early
The
on or
very
even in
beginning, it's understandable.
early on or even in the middle, like, to me, the miscommunication this is gonna be the thing I'm gonna get comments about. To me, the miscommunication trope, I actually really like because it's very human in my mind. Like, it's very human to misunderstand each other, and even couples that have been together, like, a really long time
Mhm.
still misunderstand each other all the time. It's very human, and I think
Yeah.
especially for Shane and Ilya, who are so different in so many ways, like, they
Yeah.
are very much a
Well,
case of, like, their differences complementing each other, but, I mean, they're very
it's
different
very
people.
understandable for them that they would have a
Yes.
miscommunication. Their backgrounds are
Yes.
very different. They choose to
Yes.
communicate very differently, which so
Yep.
I'm not angry about it. I'm just like sometimes it's not done well. Sometimes sometimes characters miscommunicate about something that is so irrelevant but it just turns into this whole thing and it sticks with you the rest of the story and it really grinds
Yeah.
my gears. But
I
that's not
I
relevant. I think they did it really well. I think
yeah.
it's fine that Shane and Lillian miscommunicate because I think it is a very natural occurrence for that to happen.
Yeah. I think my preferred use of miscom trope is especially when it's done by rooting that miscommunication in especially, like, in the characters' insecurities, like, in the things that they would be
Mm,
really sensitive about and would shy away from, and I think
yes.
we see such a good example of that here. Because Ilya does kind of shoot back at him, and so he's got that, like, "And what? Here's the fucking view, Hollander, check it out." And then he kinda, like, does the little jaw clinch thing that I love when he does that.
Mhm.
And then he actually does tell Shane what's wrong, which I actually think is really huge for Ilya. And again, I think speaks to that sense of safety he feels with Shane because he does tell Shane what's wrong. And
Yeah, it just goes over Shane's flipping head.
he says, he says, "I go home in 3 days." And Shane goes,
Great.
"Okay, that
Happy for
must be
you.
nice." And the look on Ilya's face, woof. And but the thing is in Shane's mind, it would be really nice
Yeah.
because Shane
No.
loves to be home and Shane
Yeah.
loves his family. And it's like, and he is in such a bubble that he is not, it just doesn't even occur to him that like this would be a bad
That other
thing.
people would not be yeah.
No, it's like one of those things where Elliot, where Shane is like, Well, that's great. I love being home. And
Yeah.
I'm sure Shane also feels like too, because Shane lives very close to his family. He sees his family all the time.
Mhm.
I think Shane is thinking like, well, Ilya's been away from home for a long time. I'm sure he's super fucking stoked to go back home. I mean, Shane built his cottage. He talks about in his documentary, and then we know in the cottage episode that he builds his like little vacation cottage close to his parents' cottage. Like Shane loves to be in his, like, little, like, family area. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
for him, that is such a huge source of comfort, and so I think it does go right over his head, whereas, like, we know because, again, we've seen the relationship he has with his dad, we've seen this conversation that he has with Alexi, and so I think it is easy to be like, "Shane, my dude," but at the same time, he just doesn't have the same
Yeah.
information that we do,
Yeah.
but then Ilya does give him that look, and then he kind of reschools his expression. You can see Ilya kinda shut down again where he's like, "Okay, this is another person that doesn't understand."
Mhm.
Um, I'm sure as fuck not going to explain it because then that sounds awful. I'm gonna have to show even more weakness if I have to explain how terrible my family is. Like, and it's not really showing weakness, but in Ilya's mind it is.
It
This is
is, yeah.
showing a vulnerability that his family is terrible, that he has this really awful relationship with his family. And so he doesn't wanna share, and Shane is not at the point yet where he's gonna push him on it, but I think as soon as Shane does see Ilya's reaction, I think Shane does realize that it's like, "Oh, shit. It's not."
I think he realizes it's deeper than what he's assuming it
It's
is.
deeper than what he's assuming it is, but again, he's not at the point where he's gonna push it. So then you
Mhm.
see Shane kind of do and this is another echo of Tuna Melt Day, where he kind of is like, "Oh, that's a deep topic for Ilya. Ilya's not really wanting to talk about it. I'm gonna divert to this other thing that I do know that he likes, which is, well, I was kind of thinking we could." And we see Shane do that on a Tuna Melt Day too, where it's like Ilya gets the call from his dad, and he kind of doesn't really wanna get into it there either. Shane knows he's kind of upset, so then Shane, switches to sex to comfort him. So it's like we kind of see this setup again of their dynamic of how they tend to pivot into physical stuff when they're
Mhm.
uncomfortable. But Ilya is so upset here that when Shane makes that suggestion that he does that kind of little head shake. And I think in his mind, he's like, "I'm upset. I don't have anything to give right now. I
Mhm.
am I don't I don't have anything to give you right now." And I think especially when we know later Ilya talking about how when he is in Russia, his family just wants more, 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 more. And I think he's thinking of that. I think I think he is so tired. He's so tired just thinking about being there,
Mhm.
which is so sad. I mean, he's
Mhm.
so upset just thinking. He's so anxious about going, which is so hard, you know,
I yeah.
because he keeps going back for years after
I
this.
yeah, and I get it, but, I don't get it. I don't get it in a way that a person who's, gone through that can get it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I cannot fathom how hard it would be to grow up in that environment, and just listening to the way that Ilya says it, I don't think until he meets Shane it's really ever occurred to him that he doesn't have to go back.
Yeah. There was a comment from somebody, I think on one of my videos a while ago, and they were saying that they're Russian, and they were talking about how, um, it is such a huge part of their culture that, like, you take care of your family, like, that sense of responsibility of, like, taking care of your
Mhm.
family and that is your
Yeah.
responsibility, and so for Ilya to later have that part of his monologue where he says that how much it bothers him that Alexei is the one taking care of his dad and not him. I mean, I think Ilya does feel just this huge pressure to continue to be there, even though they do make him so miserable. That's why I think he says later to Shane when Shane's like, "Well, do you wanna go back? Like, do you like it there? And Ilya's like, "Oh, does that matter?" I mean,
Yeah,
it's
he's like, "It's
he
not a matter of want
I
to."
I don't think it even occurs to him at this point that he could not go back.
Yeah.
I think it just doesn't even I think it just doesn't even occur to him. And so, and I mean, and even in episode 5, like when they're watching Scott and Kip on the ice, like Ilya's packing to go back to Russia.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, he is really stuck in this
Subjecting
sense of,
himself to this pain for the good
yeah.
of his family.
Well, for the good of his family, but then also I think he feels like they're all he has.
Uh,
As
it's
shitty as they
heartbreaking.
are, they're all he has, and that's why he says in the tunnel in his monologue, he's like, "Now I have no one." And it is really, really heartbreaking. I think again, you just get this sense of how isolated Ilya is and how much he does crave having somebody, like having having somebody in his life that is his and who is gonna be so sweet to him. And I think that's why actually Shane's response when Shane kind of makes the offer to be like, "Well, I was kinda thinking we could," and Ilya kind of shakes his head a little bit, and he keeps looking, he won't make eye contact, and Shane just says, he's like, "Okay," he's like, "Never mind." And then he walks down the stairs and he turns back around and he says, "I guess I'll see you," and he says, "I guess I'll see you next season," and he holds his hand out. And so this is Shane kind of doing the handshake, there's, no hard feelings, good game kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, Ilya did just reject him in a way, and Shane is not.
He's like, "It's
It's
okay."
fine.
Like,
It's fine. You're upset. That's okay. I'll see you next season. I think this is another one of those things where Shane not demanding more of him, like Shane listening and seeing that Ilya is upset and respecting
mhm.
that boundary when again, Ilya's family, no matter what Ilya is going through, is just demands more and more and more of him. I think the fact that Shane doesn't demand more just makes Ilya want him more
Well,
because I
I
think
mean, you
he's
see it
like
immediately because Ilya turns around and walks down the
he
stairs,
turns
and
around, he's like, well, because I also think the see you next season is also this reminder for him that he isn't gonna see
he's not gonna
Shane
see Shane.
for a
Yeah.
while, and I also think the handshake is such a good bookend, like a good way to bookend the beginning and the end of the episode, where it's like it starts with Shane's handshake and it's ending with Shane's handshake, but this time, when Shane starts to walk away, Ilya goes after him and kisses him, and that kiss is
Um,
a
I would like to raise my hand and make a note here.
yes.
Shane looks like he is holding a rabid animal in his hands. I
I
would, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in the best way possible because I've seen this like one or two other times in media where they're both obviously so into it, but one of them is actually just trying to get inside the other person's skin so hard, and the other person is like trying to control it so that there's some semblance of like actual kissing going on. Like Shane's holding Ilya's head. His hands
yeah.
are on both sides of his head, and he's like, "Fucking hold still, damn it!"
That kiss from on Ilya's side, I think is for me, I wrote down, it is a last request of a dying man type kiss.
Oh god.
Like, that's got some desperation to it. That is, "I'm drowning and you're air." That is
Literally.
that is a I'm fucking going off to war, and, like, this is the thing that's going to keep me warm at night. I mean, that is a desperate last request of a dying man type kiss. I mean, that is exactly what that is for Ilya. I mean, that is a, "I know this is a bad idea, and I just don't care.
Yeah.
I just
Dude, I
don't."
tear up thinking about it. Like I'm gonna start crying. Like he
Well,
literally I know I can't.
I
I
know.
can't.
It's so good. It's so good. But I think that's why Shane has to be the one to break it because I think
Yeah, Ilya's not
because
going
Ilya's
to.
not going to. Mm-mm. If Shane doesn't, Ilya's not going to. I don't think.
No, I don't think so either.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. So then Shane does break the kiss. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
We're in
And then you see Ilya be
tuxedos and
like,
we're in public. Baby,
Ilya's
who gives a fuck?
Ilya's like, "No one is looking." And then she's like, "You don't know that." And I mean, this is one of those things where, yes, Ilya does often put that distance in place, but I think you get the sense very early on that without Shane allowing Ilya to push him away, like Ilya is actually so dependent on Shane keeping his side of the fence. Once we get to like the All-Star game and beyond, when Shane is like,
Shane has no fence.
no,
It's gone.
Ilya's cooked
He's
from then on
free.
out.
He's been
Well,
freed.
because I think the thing is like without Shane there to help him pump the brakes, Ilya is much more inclined to want to cut his brakes and
Yeah.
like and will cut the brakes is the thing. I mean, because I mean, we see that as early as the shower thing, where he gets a little nutty for Shane. He's like willing to risk it
Dude, my
for
cheeks were
Shane.
pink when I watched that for the first time. Holy shit.
I know you still haven't watched the whole thing. We're gonna do it. I know you have to avert your eyes.
No, my cheeks get like I have to avert my gaze. I can't.
I know, I know.
Feels like I'm
Um,
infringing upon a private moment amongst two lovers.
and we
And I
are,
am.
and we are. But I mean, I think that's the thing is like you do get the sense of Ilya is willing to risk it for Shane a lot of the time, and I think especially like in moments where he is feeling very emotional, or if he's like had a chance to like really be like, okay, this is what I want. I mean, he does need Shane to be the one to like pump the brakes because fuck it. But then Shane does pump the brakes here. Ilya tries to kiss him again, and then I think that's when Shane makes it clear this is hey, this is not just an I'm up in my head for a second moment. This is a no,
Stop. Yeah.
and this is freaking like I'm getting freaked out because it's like Shane is nervous that somebody's gonna see them, and he like reverses their position. There's 2 times I think when Shane like pushes Ilya up, like that because he does it here and then he does
In
it
the stairwell.
in
In
the
the
stairwell, the
stairwell.
sexting thing, and I think too, like, you can tell again in Ilya's reaction just how much he trusts Shane because of when you think of when Alexei pushes him against the wall.
When Shane does it, Ilya thinks some shit's about to go down in a good
When sh
way.
well,
He's
because I
like,
think
ah.
initially when Shane does it, Ilya's like, "Oh, he's gonna kiss me,"
Yeah. And then Shane's like, no.
and then Shane pulls away, and then I think
It's
Ilya's like, "Oh,
heartbreaking.
fuck." You know, like, he's like I think Ilya's then, like he's like, "Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I
But
pushed
for
when
his
I
first
shouldn't have."
reaction to be like,
Yeah. I think initially he thinks when Shane pushes him, he's like,
this is
"Oh,
lovely foreplay.
he's gonna kiss me," and then
Yeah.
mm. But
And then
then
Alexei does it, and Ilya
yeah, when Alexei pushes him up against the wall, Ilya
throws a
was
fucking punch.
yeah. Well, he immediately shoves him away. Like he has a much more fear-based response to immediately be like, "Don't touch me."
Yeah.
But when Shane does it, he doesn't. He trusts because he trusts Shane. He knows Shane's not doesn't want to hurt him. So, but then Shane does walk away, and I think you again see with Ilya just that immediate like he knows that he's fucked up because he puts his head back and he's like, "See you next season, Hollander."
Then a
Like,
response
and
from,
it's no
and he's
response,
like,
and he's like, "Fuck,
I fucked this up like I
I fucked up."
always do.
Mhm. Yeah.
Heartbreaking. I want to
Well,
cry.
then he goes and stands up on that. 'Cause again, it's like he's just so upset. But then he goes and stands up on the stair, and what I notice is like then he puts his back to the rest of the world. He turns his back on everything else, and then he looks over to where Shane was standing. Ugh. Yeah, but that
Wow, we did it.
we did it.
We
We
have
did. We
five
got to
minutes
the end
for
of the
listener
episode.
questions.
We left on we let you know, and we're the episode 1 ends on a sad note, so I'm glad that we have these questions. We're gonna do some okay, so we
I don't.
agreed.
None of them are happy. I don't think so.
Oh,
Let's see.
good. Okay, never mind. Um, but real quick before we get into Q&A, thank you for taking this ride with us through episode 1. We'll move into episode 2 starting next week. Good for us. We did it. I knew we could do it. I believe in us. But we're going to do just a couple quick listener Q&A questions on things that we didn't address in episode 1. We put a post up on Instagram, and I think also people on YouTube,
Mhm.
but yeah, we'll do a few questions. So Lizzie, I think you have questions, right?
I do.
You got a
I
list?
have them pulled up.
Okay, she's ready.
Okay, first one. I need to preface. If I goof up any of these names, I'm
We're
so
so
sorry.
sorry.
I'm
We're
trying
so
my
sorry.
best.
We're doing our best.
Okay. Abria Matina, okay,
Mm.
says, what do you think the odds are that Ilya's I needed help sleeping quip was actually an admission that the documentary is his comfort watch when he misses Shane? This isn't about episode 1. Does that matter?
That's okay. We'll allow it.
Okay. I,
Um,
I I was like, when I read it, I was like, this is a good question. But now that I'm thinking about it, I was like, this is not episode 1.
that's okay. We'll allow it. I love that. I think that's actually, yeah, yeah, because I think Ilya does that. Like, oftentimes he says things
Well, it's the
that
same thing as him calling Shane boring. You like that shit, Ilya. Don't
it's
lie.
comforting. It's comforting to him. It's like when you've grown up in the kind of household that Ilya has, especially like a household where, and we've talked about this before, where you have people with explosive tempers, you have a lot of chaos, you have, I mean, like, this is boring is very comforting. And he finds
Mhm.
Shane very comforting. So I do think that him watching that documentary, I hypothesize that he watched that documentary a lot.
I think he probably, like, puts it on in the background to go to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Or
Yeah,
just, like, when
like,
he's
people
just
have
doing
TV shows.
stuff, like,
Yeah,
it's it's one of those, like, I have certain TV shows, like Schitt's Creek, like, and now Heated Rivalry. What?
picture this. Ilya's cleaning his house. He
Sure.
probably has a cleaner, but we're gonna for all intents and purposes, he's cleaning his house. And you know how when you're cleaning your house, you're like, "Okay, I'm gonna put something on in the background while I clean,"
Just keep
and then you end
me.
up standing in front of your TV watching
Yes.
it instead of
Yeah.
cleaning.
That's
I
Ilya.
think that's the
Mhm.
vibes. Like, Shane hits like a warrior pose, like
Mm.
he's in a deep lunge, and Ilya's like, "Wait,
He's like, "This is my
the
favorite part."
dusting is gonna have to wait."
He's like, "This is my favorite part. Hold on." No, I think it's definitely a comfort thing for him. I think Ilya also does this thing often where, like, it's like the truth hidden in, um the truth hidden in an insult, like the boring thing. But he does this in other things too, where it's like, I do think that he is, yeah, he's like, I had trouble sleeping. Yes, I endorse that fan theory.
I think he says things that are true, but then he covers it with sarcasm so that people think
Yes.
it's not true.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yes, I absolutely endorse that fan theory that he does watch it as a comfort thing for himself because he does bring it up at the cottage where he's like, is this where you do yoga? He wants to,
He wants Shane to
um,
know. He's like, "I've been
he
watching
wants,
you."
yeah, I think too, and I think you get more of this in the book, just how much Ilya hungers for knowing Shane's real world. And because in the book, and I don't think they really do this in the show, because in the show, Ilya does come to Shane's house, like to
Mhm.
Shane's condo or whatever situation he has going on. But Shane's building. But in the book, Shane has that building as like a place literally just for him and Ilya to meet up. And
Mhm.
Ilya spends a lot of time thinking about how much he would like to be in Shane's home. Like he really
Yeah.
wants to be at the cottage. He wants to be in Shane's bed. And so I
Mhm.
think this is one of those things where he does just like really hunger to be part of Shane's actual world. And I think this documentary is like one of these little tastes he
He
gets
thinks it's like a
of
glimpse. He's like, is
this
this
is
what you do?"
it's a glimpse, and he's also so hungry for information about Shane, and he's so afraid to ask for it.
Yeah. God.
I know. I know. Ugh,
Okay.
love. But yes, I absolutely endorsed.
Stamp of approval.
Stamp of approval on that one. Yes.
Okay. One thing I noticed that I haven't heard discussed much is that basically everything the hockey announcer says is also applicable to Shane and Ilya's personal relationship. Episode 1
Mm,
references a young Canadian team struggling to find its identity and failing to get past that elite Russian defense, while also saying Ilya Rozanov got right past theirs. This holds true in other episodes too, and I'm sure I'm missing some. Would love to hear your thoughts on this.
yes, yes.
Which
I
I had
actually
not thought about. I had not clocked that at all.
So I missed the one that yeah, I think that's so true, like, the one in the very beginning. Because well, I think we talked about the announcers talking about,
We've
Shane being antisocial and, like, Ilya
Yes.
be but the point
Yeah.
too about, like, a Canadian team struggling to find their identity and, like, getting past their defenses, that is also so like, that's such a cool thing to point out. I think that's absolutely true. The one I really noticed it on a rewatch recently was, I was rewatching episode 4, or no, episode yeah, episode 4.
Mhm.
It's after the "we didn't even kiss" moment,
God help me.
which is
Okay.
end of episode end of episode 2,
Yeah.
and then episode
Yeah.
4, it starts with Shane and Ilya in a face-off, and Ilya is like, "Should I do a hat trick?" And you can see, like, how upset Shane is about losing, and then the announcer says something like Shane Shane Hollander is really gonna want that last goal back, and then the another announcer says, "Shane Hollander wants that whole night back." And I think that is absolutely a reference to, like, Shane wanting Vegas back because it's like that is haunting him, I think, and so I absolutely think that the announcers are this really interesting thing that the show does of kind of making this commentary that is rooted in the things that are actually going on in their lives, but that's also rooted in the game. I think you see that a ton with when Shane gets hurt on the ice and the commentators talking about Ilya's reaction. And I think I think that's right on. And I think that the Canada struggling to find its identity one is one I hadn't noticed. But yeah, no, I think that's absolutely true. So cool. Everybody's so perceptive. I love this fucking
Yeah,
fandom.
I mean, I think before the face off, the announcer says when the coaches are deciding who they're gonna send in for this face off, the announcer goes, "Are they gonna give the people what they want?"
Give me what I want. Give me what I
Yeah.
want.
So that was funny. When I read that question, I was like, what
Yeah.
does this announcer say? Right before the press conference, the announcer's talking, really hyping up the rivalry between the
Mhm.
two of them, which I think from Ilya's perspective is very much like where they're at in their relationship because
Yeah.
Ilya's like not we've already talked about this. We can't get lost on that train again.
We can't go we can't go back down. Well, the
Mm.
the announcers are a little bit kind of like an unreliable narrator. I mean, and they are
Yeah.
actually somewhat not reliable, but there's some things that they're not I mean, like, Shane and Ilya's when Shane's
Uh-huh.
on the ice and they're they're like, "Well, playing as long as they have together, they've obviously developed, like, an admiration for each other." That's putting it lightly. History will say that they were friends. But, I think it's one of those things where they are acting as a little bit of a narrator for the
Mhm.
audience, similar to, like, the music is then acting as, like, an internal monologue.
For the
So
characters, yeah.
yeah, so I think we do see, like, these really cool tie-ins to things that have been used in books and other things like that. But yeah, no, I think that announcers are so funny too. I think one of my favorite lines is after the Scott and Shane fight when the announcer's like, "Has Shane ever fought anyone?" And it's like,
Well, from the outside
"No."
looking in, without getting our perspective, in which
Right.
we've seen everything, like, we, as the audience, have the most information of anybody in the show.
Yes. Yeah,
Because we're
we
seeing
do.
both characters, we're
Mhm.
seeing their interactions when they're alone and with, like, their family units, and then
Mhm.
when they're together, and then we're also getting a look at what the audience in the like, within, like, the hockey community within the show is viewing as well, and those are all 3 very
Yeah.
different things, and we're the only people that have access to all 3 of those.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
agree.
funny.
I also think, and I don't wanna get into it now because we'll get into it when we talk about Shane's accident, but I think that they did a really interesting thing with the announcers in that scene. Um And I actually think the way they did that was really, really smart. It gave us a perspective that we actually don't get in the book because
Mhm,
we're able to see from the announcer's point of view. So,
mhm.
yeah, we'll talk about more at that point, but I really love the announcers. I like that they kind of take us a little bit out, but also still give us information. So, yeah, I think
Mhm.
that's a really cool thing that they did. But yeah, I totally agree that that's their commentary applies to way more than just the game. I absolutely endorsed. I'm gonna put a stamp on that one too.
We mentioned this a couple times. We mentioned this earlier. I said that there were a couple questions about this, but this is why does Ilya, once he has Shane's number, ignore him for the rest of the season?
Mm.
I
It was
understand
either
why he didn't respond the night of the snowstorm, which is what I was
mhm,
saying. Like, I think
yeah.
it's understandable that when he's actively like spending time with Svetlana, he would not be actively texting Shane, which is, I think, what a normal
But he
person would do.
does kinda blow her off for a hot second because
He does.
holds a finger up because that's why she gets a little mad where she was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, forget you, like, for Jane," which it's crazy to think because then at this point, we do know that Svetlana is a childhood friend, like, how important Shane is to him already,
Hmm.
that he is like, "Hold on a second, I'm getting a text." But, yeah. But sorry, what was the rest of the question? What was
Oh, it was just, he didn't respond. I understand why he didn't respond the night of the snowstorm, but why didn't he text Shane at all in between the snowstorm and the awards?
Mhm.
I said I was under the impression that they were talking to each other, but I think upon further analysis of it, I think you're right that
Yeah,
they're not
they're
in a
not in the
place where
casual
of their
texting phase yet.
relationship that they're texting each other to just keep in touch with each other. I think the
Mm-mm.
last thing they say to each other before they exchange numbers is Ilya saying, like, calm
See
down.
you in 2
This is
weeks.
just a plan to fuck. Like, this is
Yeah.
just a plan to fuck. Um,
You're right. Yeah, that's a great point.
so
Yeah.
I don't think it's Ilya harboring any like ill. Like, I don't think he's mad at Shane.
I think even now, as we've discussed at length, Ilya is already down bad. I think in his mind, he's, like, still keeping it in the, like, this is a casual hookup thing, and so, unless they are planning to then meet up, I don't think he is texting Shane, and so
Mhm.
I don't know if it's that they don't play again during that time frame. I also do think there's a component of, like, I think Svetlana being there kind of reminds him of what he has going on in Russia, so I think it's a couple things where it's like, I think there's a little bit
Mhm.
of that because we see him do that behavior later after he's in Russia for the Olympics, and then he does ghost Shane for a
Yep.
while, and then, but I also do think they're not in a point where they are just, like, texting to check in. I think what you just said is a really good point of Ilya Ilya exchanged numbers with Shane under the premise of this is just a plan to fuck in 2 weeks,
Mhm.
and since that fell through,
There's
he
not really a
doesn't
reason for us
he
to
doesn't really have a
communicate.
reason to text him other than that he wants to. I
I
am
think they
of the
do, but yeah,
opinion
I don't think they have a specific reason, which breaks the terms of the agreement that they're
which breaks
in.
the terms of the unspoken agreement. I am of the opinion that Ilya would have thought about it multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But he's like,
Mhm.
what do I text him?
Right,
Like, what do I
when he's
say?
like, "Hey, what's" yeah, because like, at any point, sliding into the DMs, sliding into Shade's messages
How was practice today, baby?
would be
How you
giving lover
doing?
boy. So
Dude, I would
I
be
think
so uncool in Ilya's position. I would not be able. I would, and that's why
right.
I'm not in that position.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why
But
that's not me.
I think that is why when we see later, when they do start texting, like, just to check in with each other and to talk about their day and, like, to talk about, like, the games and stuff like that, and it's a pretty big deal because right now we're only texting if we're hooking up
Yeah.
imminently.
Um. Okay. The last one that I have written down is you said last episode, which was episode 3, just for continuity purposes, that Ilya is already gone for Shane. Do you think
Oh,
that
yeah.
he's clocked it for himself yet?
No.
I don't think he's clocked it. I think if he were to sit and think about his emotions, he would maybe get an inkling, but I don't think he's
God
ever going to sit.
forbid.
I don't think he's not going to sit and think about his emotions because if he sits and thinks about his emotions for Shane, all of his emotions about all the other shitty stuff that has happened to him are gonna come with it, and we're
We
not doing
don't
that.
we don't like to sit alone with our thoughts. I
No.
think that no, I don't think he has clocked it for himself yet. I think
It doesn't make it any less true, but I
doesn't
don't
make
think
anything
he's
less
realized
true.
it.
I think Shane similarly that's the thing is I know we've teased a lot about them sitting at the table with David and Unit and lying to their mother. But, like, I think they genuinely
I don't think
believe
they know. They don't
that
know.
at this point, I think as their relationship develops, I think that they are like, "Oh, maybe." I think that,
Well, and I think in episode 6, them looking back on these really early moments, they could easily be like, "Well, I did this or I acted this way because I, like,
mhm,
subconsciously felt this way about this person." But I think in the moment, very much, they are
yeah.
unaware of of the slope that they're perched at the top of.
Yeah, I think that no, I think both of them at this point are still, I don't think they've clocked it. I think Shane I think Shane is more aware that he has strong feelings, because and I think we did talk about this last episode too, that for Shane, his feelings for Ilya and his sexuality and sex are so
They're like the
interwoven,
yeah, yeah, he can't separate.
that I think he does have I think maybe for Shane,
Well, and
he
I think
is a little
Shane
bit more
sits
aware.
and spends time and thinks about his because, like, the sexuality thing, that is I think he very much does sit and think about it, and when he thinks about it, his only, like, connection to, like, what he thinks he might be is how he feels about Ilya and, like, how those interactions have gone. Like,
Well,
they're the same thing for him.
yeah, and I mean, I think when Rhodes asks him those questions about, like, "Have you ever been with another man? Was it better?" Like, I mean, all Shane thinks about is Ilya. I mean, this is I think it's one of those things where,
Yeah, like, nothing else comes to mind.
and I think that's why Shane is the one to, in the All-Star Game, confront those feelings first, where he's like, it's and 2, I think at even the tuna melt day, where Shane is the one to be like, "Something's up here." I think even Ilya is at that point telling himself, like, "This is just it's fine. It's still fine. It's still no big deal. Like, it's totally fine. I just wanna make him dinner and brush his hair." But it's it's no big deal. I like, Ilya is, I think, deeper in denial, which is funny because I think that he does know on some level, and I think he's like, the more he's aware of it, the more he's trying to, like, shove it away.
Yeah.
So I think there's a very specific moment in episode 2 where I think Ilya realizes, and I think,
You're not gonna share with the class? You gonna
I'm not
wait?
gonna share. I'm gonna hold it. I think it's one that people I
You're
don't
gonna
think it'll
hold it
come
till
as a
3
huge
months from
surprise to
now when we
people.
get to it.
We'll get to it in, like, 2 weeks. In episode 2? Yeah, that'll be good. Um, I think they both and I actually think it's actually a close moment for both of them when they both realize that they're in a lot deeper than they thought, but yeah. So, yeah, so to answer the question, no, I don't yes, I think Ilya's down bad. No, I don't think he's aware of it yet.
I agree. I agree, I agree.
Yes, he's doomed. No, he he doesn't know it. It's over for him. It's over for him. Okay, I have a question for you. Favorite scene in episode 1?
Dude, it's like I don't even remember what episode 1 is at this point.
We've spent the last 4 weeks talking about it.
Dude, I know. Um, do you have one in mind?
Do I have one in
Or do you have
mind?
to think about it? The angry Snoopy is iconic, for
I
sure.
know, I
It's
know.
ri like,
It's hard for me to love anything more than the Angry Snoopy. I'm trying to think of what scenes I go back and watch the most.
whenever and I don't know if favorite is necessarily the right word. When I watched it for the first time, my very first watch through, I was in tears on the floor, crying when uh Ilya says, "What color?" and
Oh my
Shane's
god.
soul visibly leaves his body, and then he follows it up with, "Is big?"
I
And
think
then
that
and then Ilya throws a little temper tantrum. "No, Hunter, I want to fuck you. Please, don't leave." He's like, "I know
was
I'm literally pinning you to the bed right now, but please." I was on the
I
floor, like, tears rolling down my face. I was like, "This is" and I can't
was
tell anybody about this because you hadn't watched it yet.
you
I
know,
didn't know what it was gonna be. I can't call like, how am I gonna explain this to somebody?
I just remember you calling me and texting me and being like, "You need to
Are
watch
you
Heated
are you
Rivalry.
gonna wa I said, "Are you gonna watch Heated Rivalry?" And
Are
you're
you
like,
gonna do this?"
for those of you who don't know, the book you're writing.
Oh, yes.
Well, you said, "I think I have to. I think I should for homework purposes because
Yeah.
you're
I was like
writing." Yeah. Okay.
well, because you were like, "This is so good." And I kinda said that as a joke. I was like, "For research purposes, I should absolutely watch." Because so for those of you that don't know, I am an
Plug it.
author, and, I am currently frantically finishing my manuscript,
Which is why we're fucking recording at
which is why
10 PM.
we're recording at 10:30 at night.
He's
But
like,
I
"Fuck your
am writing.
daylight. I gotta write."
But, my manuscript, which I've been working on for a while now, it's this prequel to my book that came out last year, which is a MMF outlaw cowboy romance
Thruple
with
love.
Cypress and Aiden as our 2 guys, and so this is in adversity, they are already together when the book picks up, and so this is the story. So what I'm writing right now, finishing writing right now, is the story of how they get together. So
Oh
I
my god.
ugh, and they are a kind of opposites attract
Yeah.
situation as well, where you have one of them is very serious and anxious, and one of them is a wild card. And so I was like, was like, well, for research purposes, lol, I should
It
watch
just
I should watch it, and then it consumed my entire life.
dude, I'm glad that you actually watched it though,
Thank you.
because the amount of things that I recommend to you, and you simply just don't have the time in the day to, like, consume them. I've
Yeah,
tried to do this, like
I know. I still need to really watch Interview with the Vampire. I think my hard thing often is, well, one, I
there's
don't
a
have
new season coming out kinda soon, so
okay, I'll get on that. I do well, I think the hard thing for me is, like, often I am writing. I have so much I have so little time to begin with. I often am writing, and then
okay,
I
but
know that I fixate on things.
for those of you that have watched it, for those of you that have watched Interview with the Vampire, Cypress, which is one of the main male characters in Ren's book that she's writing, gives major Lestat vibes. Okay, major. They are psychotic in all the same ways. Okay, it's amazing.
I love my psychotic baby. But, listen, he just wants to vibe. He just wants to have a good time. I always describe Cypress and Aiden as, like, the ego and the id. Which is
Yeah,
and Cyprus is absolutely like the id. But, yeah, I also know that I get really into things, and you and I do have such similar taste that I know if you really like it, I will really like it, and then I will binge the whole thing.
yeah, and then you'll just have something. Then you'll get another high.
But
Then you'll have
I
more
gotta
joy
finish
in your life.
I gotta
Then you'll
finish
have
my
one
book.
more molecule of serotonin ping ponging around in your head.
I gotta chase the high of finishing my book right now, and then I will chase a new
Ugh.
high of I will watch maybe that'll be our next thing we talk about on Shelfware is Interview with the Vampire. I loved the Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise interview with a vampire when that came. I mean, that's been that I fuck with that.
If you fuck with
Ew.
listen, listen.
Listen,
Okay.
listen.
I watched that and read Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil at the same time,
Sure.
and my brain chemistry has never been the same.
Well, yeah, and we love that.
Toxic
But no,
lesbian vampires.
we will I mean, I
Again.
wrote a thesis on vampires. in college. Trust me,
Yeah.
I know the Interview with the Vampire will be right in my cup of tea, but I gotta get this manuscript in. McKenna, if you're listening, it's coming.
That's tough.
It's all fine. No, it's good. It's good. I love it. It's good. So, yeah, that's why we're recording at 10:30 at night and we're a little punchy. But, gotta talk about these hockey boys.
Yeah, I'm sorry you
Well,
can see the ring light reflected in my glasses. It's pitch black out right now, and
it's
I don't like big lights, so I don't have any lights in my house.
that's fair.
So,
That's fair.
I don't know.
Well, we
For
want to thank you again for taking this ride with us through episode 1. Next week, we will pick up with episode 2. Um, God only knows how far in we'll get, but we'll get. I mean, I think
I
that we'll
don't
get through the
know.
texting, and we'll get
You
probably through
know.
their. We'll spend a whole episode just talking about when they finally get together because that is
Oh. Oh.
probably. Here's what'll happen. We'll spend a whole episode on how they get together. We'll spend a whole episode probably like on the Olympics in Russia and that fucking train wreck.
Oh my god, wait. Is Baby Girl Bottom Eyes Shane in episode 2?
In the bathroom?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is the
I love that I knew exactly what you were talking about. Yes, it is.
No, his gay yearning eyes. Oh,
That's an episode.
I'm
So I think
crying.
that will probably be episode 3 of our episode 2 arc because I think we'll spend probably the first
So
episode
episode
talking
7 of the podcast.
episode
Good.
7. We'll get to Shane's yearning eyes,
Gay yearning
gay
eyes.
yearning eyes,
Oh my god.
and then
Sedate
bec-
me.
we'll talk about the bathroom scene and we'll talk about Vegas. And the we didn't even kiss. I'm stressed out. I'm stressed out thinking about episode 4. I have not been able emotionally
That was the first episode we watched together.
together. I know. I haven't
Oh my
been able
god.
to like go back and watch the full club
I
scene.
don't
That's the
I've
one for
watched the club
me
scene a couple times.
that you know
I've
how you are with the shower scene where you can't watch the whole thing because you get so
Yeah,
like for me
that's
the
how you
club
are.
scene and
Sure.
the Shane and Rose after and like that whole sequence in Illy in the shower is so emotionally devastatingly charged that I have to like do it in small increments or
I
I
actually
freak out.
I actually rewatch that, like, pretty frequently just because it's so painful, but I,
Interesting.
like it.
Yeah, I rewatch the most
Well,
the I love you scene at the
yeah,
cottage. That's the one I rewatch all the time. I rewatch the cottage all the time. That's what I put on in the background. That's my Shane Hollander documentary is the cottage
I put
episode.
on Chernobyl, the
That
HBO
makes sense.
documentary. If anybody wants to chat with me about that, slide in those DMs.
That I love Chernobyl, but that I can only watch it the once.
No, I watch it every night before I go to bed. Valery Legasov is my box fan. He's my white noise putting me to sleep.
Like we should talk about that at some point. But whatever makes you happy, whatever fills your heart with joy or sadness, I guess. Anyway, on that note, we love y'all and we will see you next time. So thanks for tuning
Bye.
in. Bye.